Just like I called out yesterday, the console version Rust is getting a big new patch, and that patch is patch 1.41, and we have the official patch notes. But if you watched yesterday's video, because you're a subscriber, because you're loyal to Serial Overdrive, you probably don't need to watch this one, but I'd still appreciate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into the patch notes, go over everything that's changed, how it's going to affect you, and why you should care about some of this stuff. Spoiler alert, a lot of it you probably shouldn't. Anyways, let's get into it with update 1.41. Update 1.41 patch notes. Hello, survivors. Sorry, there's still at least 2 of you out there. The team has been working on a bunch of fixes and changes that will make the time you spend on the island a lot more enjoyable. The update will go live June 23rd at 11 a.m. UTC. There's still a couple of issues present in the game and that we want to address, but they need more investigation from our side so we can solve them efficiently. Here's a list of changes for 1.41, and I'd like to call a little bit of attention to the fact that they said there's only a couple of issues present in the game that they still want to address. Any idea which issues those are and which ones they're going to leave? Because I'm getting worried here. Anyways, here we go. General changes. Added another variant of the fishing village. This variant will be available in some of the servers after the monthly wipe. So that's right, folks. We are getting a whole new monument. Fishing Village 2.0, or the medium fishing village. For those of you who aren't extra small, but you ain't a BBC. Anyways, let's keep going. Adjusted the amount of scrap you get in return for fish at the vending machines in the fishing village. Refreshed the stack splitting UI. Stacks are now color coded. The number of items in each stack updates dynamically, and stacks can be split between the inventory and an old container that accepts items. So the real question is how long it's going to... Well, the real question is what new stack splitting bug they introduced, because the game's pretty much been in a constant state of stack splitting chaos. Anyways, another stack splitting update. Stack splitting will no longer be canceled when players have too hot or too cold effects, when an inventory item finishes crafting, or when damage is taken. Adjusted the default hotbar cycle mode to full cycle mode. Kayak now sits a little higher in the water. Weapon changes, and this one I don't agree with because it does change the dynamics here, but Compound bow removed as a default blueprint and added to the Workbench 1 tech tree. Increased the amount of metal fragments needed to craft the compound bow from 25 to 75. So based on that, what this means is the compound bow is a little bit less viable as an early game weapon. So those of you who are really good with the compound bow, you're going to have to at least get to that tier 1 tech tree in Outpost to research a compound bow and then actually use one. It's a little bit harder. It's still going to work. I don't think it's a good change, but I guess the PC version Rust did it, so why not? Let's keep going. Grenades can now be stuck to building blocks by using the alternate throw button. Reduced crafting time for rocket launcher from 180 seconds to 60 seconds on Workbench 2, and from 90 seconds to 30 seconds on Workbench 3. Reduced the crafting time for custom SMG from 40 seconds to 30 seconds on Workbench 2, and from 20 seconds to 15 seconds on Workbench 3. Item changes. Reduced the health points of Workbench 2 from 750 to 500, and Workbench 3 from 1000 to 750. The jackhammer can now be refilled at any workbench. So the jackhammer is only completely glitched for 1 month. That's actually pretty bad. Drop to cooked fish can now be eaten directly from the ground. And they missed the point where they said it's adding a little bit of extra flavor. I told them that I liked that bit and they took it away. If you watched last video, you know. Anyways, crash fixes. Fix the crash caused by entering specific characters into a note. Specifically the fixed a very common threading crash. Fixed various server crashes that caused unplanned restarts. Fixed a bug causing the game to hang every so often. Fixed a crash caused by coming into the range of a recycler's audio. Talk about blue balls there. You hear a recycler going, you're like, I'm going to get this guy, and then your game crashes and you're looted. That sucks. Fixed some server memory leaks caused by world items. Bug fixes. Also, the fixed server memory leaks caused by world items, just a note there, that's something that's needed for community servers because it's going to make them more memory efficient, so that's actually a really good thing to see. Bug fixes. On top of all the changes, patch 1.41 also brings a good amount of bug fixes to the game. Here's the list. Player. Fixed a bug that allowed dead players to loot. Fixed items not getting automatically equipped when placed into an empty slot on the hotbar. Fixed a bug where players could get a screen shake effect when they aren't receiving damage. boats, fixed collision and texture issues on the kayak, fixed texture issues on the rowboat model and on the RHIB. Rowboat and RHIB no longer decay while in use. Monuments. Stop players being able to turn off the oil refinery at various monuments while another player is using it. Cranes at the harbor can now be climbed using the attached ladders. And boys, that is something I'm really excited about. I'm just really excited about. I can't wait to get high in harbor and see what happens. You know what I mean. Boats can now be purchased from the fishing village every 5 minutes. If the previously purchased boat has not been removed from the spawn area in that time, it will despawn to make room for the next one. Fixed texture issues at several monuments, and they just want me to read all the monuments here, but pretty much every monument except for Outpost has had some sort of texture fix made to it. Fix the highlight area of the container at the pump jack. Fix the spot where players could get stuck at launch site and the lighthouse. Fixed being unable to reach the refinery at the launch site when slow walking. Fixed a spot at the lighthouse where dropped items could disappear through the ground. Weapons. Fixed texture issues on the M39 rifle. Introduced the dildo shotgun. Okay. Items. I'm joking about that last one, by the way. Items. Pumpkins can no longer be duplicated. Wood storage boxes can now be placed under a workbench too. Clothing items dropped on the ground can now be worn instantly without needing to be picked up first. So that's pretty cool. Actually, I thought you could do that. I know I've done it before with like hazmat suits and stuff, but maybe you couldn't do it with clothes. I don't know. Fixed a bug that would cause vending machines to become unstable after server resets. Hollow sight weapon attachment is easier to see when looking at the snow. Survival fish traps can now also catch anchovy, herring, and sardine. Boy, someone just jizzed themselves over that. Fixed the appearance of a scrap dropped on the ground. Have the crafting time for several items. Stone hatchet, pickaxe, sheet metal door, armored double door. And sorry, that was a sheet metal double door. Wooden ladder, and the hidden poncho. So ladders being able to craft faster is actually something that's pretty cool. This is going to make raiding just a little, like a slight bit easier. Not by much, but maybe 0.5%. The small oil refinery can now be placed on icebergs. Fixed texture issues on the searchlight. World. Fixed resource nodes in snowy biomes having a low texture compared to nodes in other biomes. Fixed highlighted area of corn plants. UI. Fixed appearance of the fishing controls game tip and improved the stack splitting UI. Hopefully you enjoyed the patch notes. See you on the island, survivors. So yeah, that's pretty much all the patch notes. There's nothing huge there. We've got one new monument that's basically like a mid-tier fishing village or whatever you want to call it. Compound bow got a little bit harder to craft, which was to address people getting too good with the compound bow on PC. That's why it was done on PC. I don't think the console needed that. I really rarely run into anyone using the compound bow. And if someone manages to kill me with a compound bow, if you know what you're doing, you might get lucky and be able to take out someone that's geared. I think that's a really good dynamic to have. Like that one-shot compound bow that if you're really good with, you can take out a player that's actually geared and then sort of snowball from there. I liked having that in there. I like being able to spawn into a server and just go for it. I've never actually made it work, but I like the fact that I could. And I'm sort of disappointed that they pulled that one back. But again, you can just go to Outpost. You can easily research it, and then you can run the same plays that you were running before. Anyways, other than that, there's no real changes. Like I mentioned, the ladder thing, the double door thing, rating got 0.01% easier because it's just a little bit quicker to craft those two things. But that's about it. Otherwise, it was just a bunch of bug fixes that are probably going to be, well, let's face it, these bugs are probably going to be reintroduced in the future. So we'll see what happens. But anyways, hope you liked the video. I woke up pretty early to make this one. So until next time, peace.